new idea.
That's what it's all about.
Seven 700 miles to the north runs another wild river. In Maine, the West Branch of the Penobscot. It's been called a national treasure. But beautiful rivers are routinely sacrificed, and this one has been singled out. The white water of the West Branch is its hallmark, a hallmark no longer claimed by many Maine rivers. If there is any modern counterpart to the lumberjacks who once drove logs through such waters, it is the kayaker running rapids. In a kayak, the man becomes the log. The lumbermen are still here, but now trucks, not rivers, move the timber. Yet the river is important to lumbering for power. Dams create that power. Water turns turbines, electricity turns machines. Dams are important, but dams destroy natural rivers.
They want to come today. You want to make it. Today you want to make a fast buck.
You bet you we
Today you want to make a fast.
Building the dam that would provide the power divides people here. Guides who see their river at risk if the dam is built, and lumbermen who see their jobs at risk if it isn't.
You know, the one good thing about them making the decision down in Washington, we can all be friends afterwards.
It was an issue that split two towns and finally the state itself. Millinocket was for the dam. The town's sole employer, Great Northern Paper, claimed jobs would go if the dam were not built. But in neighboring Greenville, livelihoods depend on tourism, which in turn depends on natural values. Canoeing, fishing, and rafting are what make money here. Henry David Thoreau is the designated patron of the town. Thoreau wrote about the West Branch in 1846. He would not recognize the river here. It lies drowned within this lake created by Ripogenus Dam. Dams have turned most of Maine's wild rivers into artificial lakes.
That little beach there?
Yeah, that's where we're going.
I think tandem canoeing is grounds for divorce.
I bet.
Sandy Neely and Bill Houston are river guides, members of the Penobscot Coalition, a group intent on preserving the natural character of the West Branch. Their river is only a remnant of a much longer one, now lost within the lakes of 19 different dams.
This is the last stretch of what used to be a very long river. And it's amazing to think what's already been lost and what's already under there. There was a stretch over 130 miles long, and a river trip would have been almost 2 weeks with Atlantic salmon, gorges, rapids, slow, beautiful sections between marshes with lots of birds. It's all been documented in various guidebooks, but the amazing part is what's been lost and what can never be replaced.
The river that does remain is the scene of great activity, of people experiencing the river. This is McKay Station, the put-in or starting point for rafters who will run the rapids of the famous Ripogenus Gorge. The raft is lowered almost 100 feet, an effort which sets the mood for the experience ahead. Bill Houston has been a river guide on many American rivers.
The thing that makes the Penobscot unique is that it has a combination of everything. know, a lot of rivers maybe have good rapids, or some rivers, the water's clean enough to drink. Penobscot's incredible in that it has everything all in a very short section.
And one of my favorites is called the Ripogenus smelt and was designed just for the Big Eddy by my partner in business.
Fishermen, especially salmon fishermen, also oppose the new dam.
And teal feathers.
No one opposes the dam more than one of Maine's premier fishing guides, Nick Albans. For Nick Albans, these are home waters.
The optimum temperature in this river for salmon fishing is 56 degrees. Of course, the landlocked salmon in this country is restricted to the East Coast and pretty much to Maine. In fact, the state fish of Maine is the landlocked salmon. And although several hundred lakes hold salmon, there are very few rivers where you can actually fish for them during the summer. Very few. And it's a beautiful spot.
The loss of river-bred landlocked salmon is just one reason fishermen oppose the dam.
There's your osprey. Now, I've got a lot of friends in Millinocket who want the dam built because they're worried about their jobs. But they have alternatives. I don't. I think the river has given them all that it can and should be allowed to rest in peace what little there is left of it.
Big Ambejackmockamus Falls, the dam site, is the Big A to most people. For Nick Albans, it's no way Big A. But in Millinocket, it's all the way Big A. The Big A has a powerful voice in the mill workers of Millinocket.
I'm for the Big A because I work here for the Great Northern and they need this. I'm also from the state of Maine, and I believe that the state of Maine should use all the hydropower they possibly could get their hands on.
Oh, it's going to be beneficial for everybody. Hydro's very clean, very efficient. And for starters, that's their river up there. They made it. It's all man-made. It's not natural at all.
Great Northern did shape parts of the West Branch with its dams, but it's not the character of the river that matters to people.
I think most people are concerned with the mill and their, job security. Are they going to have to move out of town and, go to a different state to be secure? And they've lived here all their life.
Great Northern said it needed cheaper energy to compete and that hydropower was the only source. Conservationists offered alternatives, but in Millinocket and on the state level, the dam became an issue of jobs versus the river. There are also jobs that depend on the river. Danny Legere ties flies. It's a business which is advertised by word of mouth, Maine's own way of building tourism. And in Greenville, tourism is big business. Sandy Neely has the figures.
I figured out that our company will be contributing $8 million a year to the town of Greenville. And that's an extraordinary amount of income based on whitewater.
There's absolutely no question about it. Someone who would come up here to do a raft trip, they might be doing just one day's raft trip and they're up here for a long weekend. They come in here, they hire a guide, they discover fishing, they may discover fly fishing, whatever, and then they end up back here. There's no way of telling how many of those people actually come back here and then they stay at Rockwood Cottages or they stay at Sandy Bay camps or they stay up at Casey's camps and so on, that are repeat business. There's no question a lot of people that I talk to have been here before. The first experience with the Moosehead area was through rafting and through the river experience.
In Greenville, the river means money to restaurants and gas stations and hotels. The economic value of an unspoiled river is considerable, enough to show there's more than one kind of job at stake here.
My father died on a picket line. Died of a heart attack on a picket line. I've always been a strong union person. And if I felt building that dam would really cost jobs, I think I would not be in favor of the dam, but I wouldn't fight it. I don't believe it for a minute. Northern is there to make money, to produce paper, to make money. And the easiest way to make money is to modernize and cut down on employment. And they're doing that now, and they're going to do it in the future.
Suddenly, the fight was over.
A spokesman for Great Northern Paper said, enough is enough. After months of political battles in the state legislature, defeat before regulatory boards, and a drumfire of criticism from opponents, the giant paper maker finally agreed with what its critics have been saying, no way. Supporters of the giant hydroelectric...
The state granted a permit for the dam with conditions, including job guarantees. But the company rejected the conditions and gave up the fight.
Gail Ferguson, News Plus 7.
No one could say for sure if mill workers' jobs were tied to the dam. But the battle itself may have clarified something significant.
I think one of the most frustrating parts for those of us who are trying to save the river is that people in the United States, as well as Maine, they just don't know they own rivers. They own water. They own the Penobscot. They own all of the rivers in this country. And there's not much left.
Development versus conservation. The issue may have been falsely raised. For the Penobscot Coalition, it was not the issue. That the river won is also important. To Nick Albans, the West Branch has qualities that make it unique.
I think that's why this river means so much to me. It's a home river. I fished Montana and Canada and Alaska, and certainly more beautiful rivers, more productive rivers, wilder rivers, but this is home, and it means an awful lot to me.
Late in 1862, Union troops began their assault on Confederate positions across the Rappahannock River at Fredericksburg, Virginia, south of Washington.